program you're watching today is called the Let's Visit Show. We've been on the air for several years doing travelogues all over the world. We've been to 4 different continents, 7 different countries, and we've even climbed 6 volcanoes. But today, we're in the oldest fishing port of the United States, Gloucester, Massachusetts. So stay with us, this should be a lot of fun. In 1605, explorer Samuel de Champlain first visited Gloucester Harbor and christened it Le Beau Port, or Beautiful Harbor. Later, in 1623, the Massachusetts Bay Colony made its first permanent settlement here in Gloucester under the auspices of the Reverend John White and 14 of his men. They were from Dorchester, England. The Dorchester Company, Gloucester's first commercial fishing company, was formed. The Puritans later came and set up establishments along the waterfront as well. Boat schools, churches, and private homes were built. By 1840, Gloucester was regarded as one of the premier fishing ports in all of Massachusetts. It caught such fish as cod, halibut, and mackerel. Gloucester, America's first seaport, has all the charm of a New England town and then some. With a magnificent harbor, a prosperous fishing fleet, spectacular lighthouses and sandy beaches, Gloucester is above all a fishing town, and almost all its permanent settlers came for that one reason. Gloucester Harbor has seen the likes of the Scandinavian Thorwald Ericsson in 1004, the Frenchman Samuel de Champlain in 1605 and 1606, the Englishman John Smith in 1614, some British fighting ships in the Revolutionary War and the War of 1812, but again it was the Gloucester fishermen that made Gloucester famous. And who can forget the emotional scenes from the film The Perfect Storm, shot right here in town. Let's visit the local Chamber of Commerce. Now, Stephanie, what is it that tourists come to Gloucester to see? What is there here?
Well, I think there's a little bit for everyone. There's a combination of scenic beauty with our lighthouses and beaches. There are also some great museums. And as well, there is a host of water-related activities such as whale watching, boat charters, jet ski rentals, schooner sails that kind of combine with our maritime history.
Now, where do people come from? Is it basically from the Midwest, the West, or where do people come from that come to Gloucester?
Actually, the majority of our tourists come from the New England area, and we have quite a few from the Mid-Atlantic states as well. And there is also a large population of Canadian travelers.
Mm-hmm. And how about Europeans? Do you ever get Europeans here?
We do. England and Germany primarily.
Is that increasing each year? Is it getting more of those?
Well, we are increasing our marketing efforts, the Chamber as well as north of Boston as well as Mott. So it's somewhat of a domino effect, and we're really working hard to bring more Europeans over.
Well, thank you very much, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Let's visit Rocky Neck Art Colony in East Gloucester. This is the oldest working art locale in the country. If names such as Winslow Homer, Emile Groupie, Rudyard Kipling, Louisa May Alcott, Fitzhugh Lane strike a familiar chord in you, and you should know they all spent many happy days here. Rocky Neck has been luring such celebrities to its shores for over 150 years. Today, many of Gloucester's artists still live here and operate their studios here as well. The visitor can not only enjoy looking at great works of art, but they may be bought as well, along with other artistic creations such as jewelry, photographs, and quilting. The buildings themselves and narrow picturesque streets remind us of an era long gone by when things moved at a much slower pace.
So we have a new thing that we're going to do here.
Now, what kind of art do you call this?
Sidewalk art.
And you're doing it on the sidewalk.
It's on the sidewalk with an oil bar.
Now, what's our model's name, sir?
Phil Perkins.
Phil. You were an artist too?
I am still. In Florida.
Florida.
Naples, Florida.
Visiting up in Gloucester.
We're going to do that simple thing. Get your mustache in first. Just a few little dots. Now you look like 16 years old. Would you like that?
I feel like it too.
That's the whole trick as an artist, is to make someone look much younger, right?
Right. Did Armin this morning, and Armin, he'd never had it done before.
And there you go, sidewalk art. Thank you, Alma. Thank you, Phil.
That's
You're
better.
welcome.
Anytime.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Okay.
Yeah, this is an old paint factory warehouse that dates back to the 1850s, and they stored the paint, the copper bottom paint factory, which is across in the harbor there, which made copper bottom paint for all the boats that went out of Gloucester, keep the green algae and the barnacles off of them. Polluted the bottom of every harbor on the East Coast. Piece of news you really don't need to know, but might be interesting.
Okay, now you're going to wave at me.
Right. Right.
Since Gloucester is both a city on land and a harbor on the sea, let's visit it both ways. On an amphibious duck, where we can drive down the city streets and then go whoosh into the Atlantic Ocean, both in the same vehicle. This should be fun.
Here we go.
The Gloucester beam trawler, introduced in 1904, changed the fishing industry forever. With large nets played out through the stern of the boat, the dangers of handline fishing in open dories was eliminated, saving many lives and significantly increasing the catch. Here we see a Coast Guard buoy tender. There are so many buoys around Cape Ann that this ship is kept pretty busy. Just as Stephanie Palazzola from the Cape Ann Chamber of Commerce mentioned, Gloucester is a tourist magnet. This means lots of good eating and drinking establishments, most of which specialize in the freshest of seafood. Main Street today isn't much wider than it was 380 years ago, but the retail businesses seem to manage fairly well here. And of course there's the famous Gorton's Fish Factory and Gloucester's 1870 City Hall, built after a fire devastated the city. But my favorite structure in Gloucester is the Loring B. Haskell House, built in 1875. Not only is it constructed on a hill overlooking the harbor, but Mr. Haskell, a merchant, built a 6-story tower on it, so he could be the first to see ships returning to port. In that way, he could be the first to meet the ships and beat all the other merchants in selling provisions to the crew.
An awful lot of windows to keep clean.
Yeah. I think there are like 69 windows.
69 windows in the house.
Mr. Haskell's neighbor wasn't nearly so successful a businessman. His tower is only 2 stories high. And how about this house on the inner harbor? It's fashioned after the bridge of a ship. Immortalized in stone is Fitzhugh Lane, Gloucester and America's luminist marine painter. His seascapes are known and collected around the world. Well, today we're going to take a whale watch out of Gloucester Harbor with Captain Bill on this big boat. Let's see what happens.
Okay, under starboard side.
Captain, where are we going here?
Well, we got a couple whales ahead of us here. Not too far. Looking like they're being pretty active, so see them up ahead of us, just a mile or so. See how they behave. Should be interesting. We hope.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
As we head out to sea from Gloucester Harbor, we're going to visit a whale's feeding area known as Stellwagen Bank. The bank is an underwater shallow plateau or mesa, only about 100 feet deep. It lies between Cape Ann and Cape Cod, and is made up mostly of sand and gravel, but is a rich source of food for the visiting whales. This feeding ground is about 18 miles long and 6 miles wide. On this trip, we're looking at only one species of animal, and that is the humpback whale. When you watch these creatures preparing to dive, you'll notice they arch their backs to a great degree. And so humpback is the name the old whalers gave them. Their official name is Megaptera novaeangliae, or the New England large-winged whale. Here in New England, their chief food is a kind of eel-like fish called a sand lance. It's a small schooling fish which is very plentiful here at Stellwagen Bank. Humpback whales are of the baleen variety, which means they have no teeth, but rather a series of 600 to 800 flat plates that hang from their upper jaws. These act as a sieve or strainer so that water passes out of their mouth, but food fish are trapped and swallowed. There are several whale-watching charters available out of Gloucester, Newburyport, Boston, and Cape Cod.